It was working like a year and a half before 9/11 occurred, almost 2 years before 9/11. And if they'd have deployed it, we would have, in my view, there would have been no way we wouldn't have stopped 9/11. Because all the data, Tom Drake took the program after they killed it because it didn't cost enough money. So that meant that they had to create another program, which they called Trailblazer. That was the initial cut at that was $4 billion. And after that, it only grew in terms of money. They kept getting more and more. So the whole point was that they had a whole host of contractors that wanted to feed on all that money. And if you took the program we did and deployed it, it would already solve the problem. So the point is that you can't go to Congress asking for money for a problem you've already solved. So they had to kill the solution to say we have a problem so they could justify getting the money. And that's exactly what they did. They know exactly what they're doing. And the reason you can tell that they know is because they're keeping it all secret. If they weren't really trying hard to keep it secret, then you might think that they were delusional and they didn't understand what they were doing. But when they know that they're doing something wrong, they have to keep it secret. Otherwise, they feel they'll be held accountable for what they do. Why else would they keep all these things secret, do things in secret with a secret court, keeping their interpretations secret, and making secret interpretations and rules for a constitution in secret, in hiding it away from most of Congress and certainly all of the public? So if you do that, you're hiding something, and you know you're doing that. I put it down to 3 factors: power, money, and control. That is, if you can have an uninformed electorate and an uninformed Congress, you can manipulate them and control them. And especially if you're pulling in a lot of data about them, you can do that and use it against them to get them, to leverage them to do what you want them to do.
A British newspaper dropped a bombshell that the U.S. government has been collecting millions of Americans' phone records without them knowing about it.
A lot of people are learning that the scope of these surveillance programs is immense.
The government is monitoring private phone calls, your children and my children's private phone calls, and tracking who their associates are.
Right now, the U.S. government knows who he is calling, where she is calling from, and how long they are talking.
When it comes to telephone calls, nobody is listening to your telephone calls.
The NSA is trying to create a database to get ahead of what I think is a real growing threat. Homegrown terrorist cells already here.
It's to ferret this out before it happens. It's called protecting America.
It's called the Tea Party.
When it comes to keeping us safe in the war on terror, I think the President's program, President Obama's program, is the right one, and it's a good one.
His name is Edward Snowden. He's an American former CIA employee and computer technician. Today he came out as the leaker of classified NSA documents.
You don't have to have done anything wrong. You simply have to eventually fall under suspicion from somebody, even by a wrong call, and then they can use the system to go back in time and scrutinize every decision you've ever made.
Are you confident that you know everything that's going on within that agency and that you can say to the American people, it's all done the right way?
Yes.
I made the statement about that the greatest threat to our constitutional form of government since the Civil War is what's happening now in terms of spying in the United States. And that's the domestic spying program, Stellar Wind, that they started in secret and have been running in secret. So they're violating the constitutional rights of everyone. First Amendment rights are violated because you have the right under the First Amendment to have a free association. It doesn't say you have the right to free association as long as the government knows about it. That's a direct violation of that one. The Fourth Amendment is clearly violated when they collect all the content data, or they digitally record your phone calls and violate all of your privacy under your affairs. That's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. And then using the content of your emails against you in a court of law in secret, again, under the law enforcement use of the NSA data, that's a violation of your Fifth Amendment rights not to testify against yourself. And then when they lie in courts and don't tell you that, give you the right to challenge discovery of the information they really used to arrest you, that's a violation of due process under the Sixth Amendment. So, I mean, they're just scrapping the entire constitutional form of government. This is the greatest threat to our democracy and republic and constitutional form of government since the Civil War. See, unless we unless we stop the industrial accumulation of information on people, we're heading to a state of society where people will see the surveillance, just the fact that people are being surveilled inhibits their ability or feeling that they have the opportunity to do new and creative and innovative things. So that kind of reduces their risk-taking, basically, which in turn means you get less and less creativity and innovation and more stagnation of civilization. That's what happened in the Soviet Union. That's what happened in East Germany and the communist bloc. They stagnated because people were being so surveilled that they were afraid to do anything. It made people afraid to take a risk. And that's really the point of capitalism. That's why it's been so successful, because it was advocating people taking risks. Americans aren't supposed to sit back and let things happen and let government do what it does. We're supposed to be out there challenging. We have to be participating in our democracy and republic. We cannot sit by and let these things happen and be quiet. If we do, we're going to get this totalitarian state that we're sliding toward right now.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get this totalitarian state that we've already slidden off the edge into. But the reason it's so different than Nazi Germany or Soviet Russia or Maoist China is Maoist China had just been through World War II. The Japanese had killed, some estimates are as many as 10 million Chinese. There was mass poverty, millions starving to death every few months in some of that period. The country was in literal hell. And before that, the country had been broken in 14 parts by different allied powers for 200-plus years. You could be publicly executed in China if you were caught stealing a bowl of rice. I mean, it was barbarous. Barbarous. China had not been barbarous previous to that. It had been quite cultured in many ways. But it was barbarous after colonialism. And so when Mao came in with Western support, kicking out the nationalists, who were pretty corrupt in their own right, but nothing compared to Mao, he was seen as a reformer by Wall Street because he'd work with them. They thought he'd get things going under communism. He was just able to absolutely steamroll everybody. Hitler, same deal. They've been through World War I, the Versailles Treaty, the massive depression that was estimated by many historians to be upwards of 5 times worse than the U.S. depression. I mean, Germany was starvation level for a decade. Very proud people went through hell. They were put under reparations where their companies were all turned over to foreign companies. Those foreign companies set Hitler up, put him in power, told him to invade, told him what to do. That's all been declassified, set him up. Doesn't mean Hitler wasn't horrible. He was terrible. They picked him to be the messianic leader psychologically of the Germans. Lord Milner in the 20s talked about we got to find a messianic German, wind him up, let him tear up Europe, and then we'll take over the ashes. I'm not saying the British people are inherently evil. I'm Welsh. I've got a lot of blood from England on both sides of the family. The point is that the manipulations developed in England are the model of the world today. And they're very sophisticated. It's very hard to beat them because it's a 50 to 100-year plan. It's like the big mega banks have been funding liberation theology for about 80 years. They've been funding socialism and communism as the way to rebel. So when the revolution comes to their corrupt system, it'll be communism that they set offshore and control. I mean, it's hard to beat these people. And Brzezinski, I've read 4 of his books. No, 5 of his books. And in 3 of them, he talks about how they do 25, 50-year plans and everything I'm telling you. I mean, they think you're too stupid to read books they write. And he says in the future, in his last book, he also said it in 2 speeches to the Council on Foreign Relations of Canada and the U.S. He said it's more expensive now to propagandize people. We're just going to kill everybody. Zbigniew Brzezinski's probably a bigger advisor right now than Kissinger. George Shultz has gotten too senile. David Rockefeller now is officially senile at 98 or whatever it is. He's basically out of the game. That's why Senator Jay Rockefeller is leaving the Senate to actually run things now. Jay Rockefeller is one of the most powerful people in the world right now. The Rockefellers don't give you the power until the top dog, the top Skeksis dies, and then you get the power. A lot of evidence David had Nelson killed. But It's just unspeakable what we face. And I sit here with their manuals, their books, their admissions, their just watching them control our world, and then sit there and lecture the public on how none of this exists like we're 5 years old. Coming up in the next hour, I want to open the phones up. I haven't been taking a lot of calls lately. I want to talk to first-time callers about Jade Helm. And I want to do first-time callers at first that are active duty police or military or recently out or who have a direct connection to Jade Helm or have witnessed any military drills in your area. It's a pretty wide swath, but please don't call in if you're not those people, because I'd specifically like to hear from you. We'll launch the phone system over there on my Comrex, and we will start taking your phone calls at 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Separately, if Buckley will come over to the microphone, I forget the exact headline that I wanted to give that William Binney piece. I'm sure it won't give it justice. But we're going to get it posted at Infowars.com and Paul Watson's article on the subject. Buckley, what headline did I come up with?
Tell me what the subject was again.
I'm just going to drill you guys where you're ready to come on air all the time when you're in there. Okay. We're going to kill everybody's doing a great job back there. We're just going to exterminate the normalcy bias. It's the headline on the board in there. What headline did I decide to give the William Binney video that we just played?
Former NSA head exposes agency's true crimes.
There you go.
Former NSA head exposes agency's true crimes?
Exactly.
I don't even know if that's a good enough headline. But former NSA head, we're going into tyranny? I don't know. I mean, it's just a very important report. How about this is the video report you need to send your friends and family about the NSA? Or most important NSA report ever. I mean, I really think it's the most crystallized, the most focused. I don't know what we call it. Watson's written an article. Let's just give it to him and have him put it up on Infowars.com. Thanks a million, guys. Let me point everybody to Infowars.com. I just knew Buckley was standing by the board. I'm sorry to put him on the spot. This is total transparency, though. I can't keep track of anything anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. There's too many things coming at us. Red link to Infowars.com. Very important article by Paul Joseph Watson and Alex Jones that we wrote this morning. Mainstream media rushes to demonize Infowars over Jade Helm. It just went live. And we show how they're lying to the public and how to counter them. In fact, that's a good headline he gave it, but really, it's everything you know about Jade Helm. Or use the media's tactic. Fact check. Is Jade Helm for domestic takeover or not? Because they play that reality game like, we fact checked. We've had all these different news agencies calling, going, we need you to interview us. We're doing a fact check on you. And David Knight got on the phone with one lady, and he's like, okay, have you read the Jade Helm document? No, but we want to know your opinion of Jade Helm. Well, there is no opinion, Dumbo. We've got the documents and all the background material. It's like, well, it's your opinion there's death panels in Obamacare. No, it's in a stinking subsection. I'm going to smack you upside the head. We got the biggest specials ever running at InfoWarsLife.com right now. Free shipping on 2 bottles of X2 and a free bottle of Fluoride Shield. It ends in 12 hours. InfoWarsLife.com.
Visit GCNlive.com today.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.